So today we're going to go over how to change your fuel oil filter. Contained in here is part A1A-30. All the parts and pieces are in here. I'm going to open up this bag, lay it out, and then we'll show you what all the tools we need. Alright, when you open the bag, you have the filter, and you have three different washers. You have the big rubber one that's going to go right in here. You have a small red one which goes under this bolt down here, and you have a small red one which is under this one right here, which is the bleeder screw. So the different wrenches that you need, that little bleeder I was showing you is this one here, and this one is 5/16, 16 millimeter for the top bolt on there, and 13 millimeters for the bottom bolt. There's a bolt right here on the bottom. So before we get all to that, one of the most important things we got to do is shut off the fuel oil tank. So I'm just going to crank this down, and that will shut off the oil flow, so when we take this apart, you know, we don't have a bunch flowing out. Also, we want to make sure that the furnace is turned off, so it's not going to kick on, so it'll run through the oil, and then you got to bleed it all through the system. So I usually use this pan here, and I put it underneath there. It'll catch any drippings, any excess fuel oil. I also have a pair of gloves, so I'm going to get those gloves on, and we'll start ripping this thing apart. Alright, so I got the gloves on. I also have a spare rag off to the side here in case I have any spillage or need to wipe off my gloves or anything like that. So double check, that's off. I know my furnace is off. So first thing we're going to do is take this bolt off here. It goes all the way through. Usually you don't have to mess with the bottom bolt. Just give that a turn, it'll start loosening. And you start turning that, and you'll get some fuel oil dripping out. You can kind of see it there flowing out, and that's the excess, is the built up pressure. Hence why you want to wear gloves, and you know, make sure there's nothing with open flames or anything like that around as you're doing this. So I'm going to press up. You want to press up on it because this bolt is what's holding it. So you press up on it, you turn the bolt, pull your bolt out. You know, you set it on the pan. I'm going to set mine on my rag. It's right over here. You pull this straight down, and you got it out. Here's the filter. I'm going to pull that out. You can see the difference, clean versus dirty. I change this once a year. Usually around this time I put in my Google Calendar reminder to change this once a year, because you know, I want to make sure my furnace keeps running, has a long life. So there's going to be oil in the cup here. I'm just going to pour it into my catch basin here. And then usually you want to look in here, see if there's any solids or anything. Mine's actually pretty clean. If you change it once a year, it's going to be pretty clean. It's going to stay clean because you're changing it, you're taking care of it. But if you do see any crud, you can take a rag or whatever, stick it in there, you know, wipe it out, you know, and you'll get some stuff out of there. So now that that's clean, that's wiped off, here's the bolt on the bottom if you ever need to mess with that. I don't think I ever really have had to, but it's there, and it's 13 millimeters if you ever need to. So with that, I'm going to take out the old red washer. I'm going to pitch that later, and then I'm going to get the new one, set it here on top, because that's going to seal that. So then you take your new one, stick it in here. You know, there's a little protrusion in here when you look in here, and that's where that goes in. So you just put that straight down, push it in. You see, so we got the new filter in there. We're going to take this old washer off. We're going to take our new washer that came with it. I mean, that just sits right inside here. So then you take it up. You want to make sure the silver spot goes into the hole that you can feel up there, and you just kind of hold it up there. Take my bolt, stick it back through, and get it on there. I'm going to go as hand tight as I can, and then grab my wrench and take it the rest of the way. You know, kind of feel around it, make sure it's nice and even. Should be fairly tight, but we'll test that as well once we, you know, fill it back up. So I got that in there. That feels good. So now I need to replace the washer on this bleeder screw. So on this thing I got a 5/16 wrench. Give it a little turn here. Bleeder screws out, so that little washer, just gonna pop it down, grab my new one, put it in place, then put the little screw in here and start turning on. Now I'm only going to turn it on a little bit because now I'm going to turn on the oil so that it starts flowing in here, and what we're trying to do is work out all the air. So as I turn this on and turn that valve on, the oil will start flowing in there. This one turns a lot. So now it's fully open. So now the oil is going in there, and the little bleeder screw here is letting all the air out. So you can kind of see a bubble in there. So the oil started coming out. So we're good. So I'm just going to quickly spin it on. By hand, and it's pretty close to done, so I'm going to go ahead, tighten it the rest of the way. My wrench, drop it in the fuel oil down there, and just kind of nudge it tight. So might as well throw that back in there. I'm going to have to wash it off. I'll just use some Dawn soap and wash it off that way, and it'll be perfectly fine. So now this has oil all over it, so I usually, you know, I'll come in here, give it a good wipe down. This rag is just going to go in the trash can when I'm done. So it's going to stink. You know, it'll never not smell like fuel oil. Move my pan out of the way here and give it a good wipe down. Make sure it's all good. Now another thing, since it is fuel oil, is it, you know, flammable and everything else, what I'll do next is, now that the job's done, I'm going to put a blank, you know, this paper towel down underneath this. I'm just going to let it sit there, and since it'll, you know, change color if anything drips on it, so then I'll know if I have any tiny leaks or anything. But that is how you change the fuel oil filter. Yeah, and this was the 1A-30. I'll put the link in it. Very easy, very quick, and something that'll help extend the life of your furnace. If you found that helpful, please leave me a comment. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. Hit subscribe and you'll see more videos like this.